Blessings and peace, everyone, and welcome to another video. If you're listening to this channel, if you watch the videos on this channel, if you have subscribed to this channel, you are here for one of three reasons. The first one is that you're in the grip, possibly, of a narcissistic gang stalker. That's reason number one. And using my reasonable deduction, number two is that you probably just escaped narrowly a relationship or an encounter with a narcissistic gang stalker. And last but not least, number three, if you are listening to the videos on this channel, if you're following this channel, if you're subscribed to this channel, you're probably trying to figure out if you're being gang stalked by a narcissistic gang stalker. We all know that dealing with a narcissistic gang stalker in any capacity can be a pain. As you know, if you've ever dealt with a narcissistic gang stalker, they are a pain to live with. They are also a pain to be in a relationship with. They are a pain to deal with as a significant other, as a spouse, as a boyfriend or girlfriend. They can really wreak havoc if you have a sibling that is a narcissistic gang stalker. But the pain is no less unbearable if you have a narcissistic gang stalker as a friend or a relative, a parent, a teacher, a neighbor, a classmate, or a member of a religious or spiritual institution. Dealing with these people, my friend, can be a pain. It can be a lot of pain. It can be stressful. It can be difficult to tolerate. And it can make your life, basically unbearable sometimes. But it is a real pain. And this is not to cancel out the rest. But what is even more painful is when you have to deal with a coworker or coworkers who could possibly be narcissistic gang stalkers. So let's talk about it. As we know from working in, the labor force, your coworkers play a very significant part as far as how your work life or how your work day goes. Coworkers can either make or break you in the workforce. Having a narcissistic gang stalker having a narcissistic gang stalker, let me go back for a minute. Having a narcissistic gang stalker as a coworker or having a group of narcissistic gang stalkers as coworkers, it can wreak havoc. It can make your work life day in and day out the most miserable thing that you've ever experienced. It will make you get up in the morning and regret having to go to work to face these people. It will make you stop in the parking lot just before you go into work and have to say a prayer asking God, please help me to make it through these next 8 or 9 hours that I have to be around these people. Help me to make it through this day. It will also make you, when you go out for lunch, it'll make you consider putting the key into the ignition and taking off and never returning again. That's just how bad it can be if you are working with a narcissistic gang stalker or a group of narcissistic gang stalkers. Having these types of people as a part of your work team, not only does it lower morale, but it damages productivity. And it is the biggest cause of work dissatisfaction on the job. As a matter of fact, you can always tell when narcissistic gang stalkers have invaded and basically taken over a workplace, because it begins to be a place of a revolving door. People, they start the job and eventually they end up quitting. And it's not because of the work that they are assigned. It is because of the people that they work around. You will also find that when narcissistic gang stalkers are in control of a workplace, that there will be high absenteeism. People will be calling off work. They will be calling in sick. Um, you know, People will have a hard time wanting to report to work and to stay at work. They will find every excuse not to come to work. Narcissistic gang stalkers on the job are the main cause behind people having to take sick leaves, or getting stress related illnesses on the job, or having to take a mental day or a mental week or a mental month, having to go on a sabbatical away from the job, and that's really sad when good people who are trying to be productive, trying to do the work, trying to stay on a job, doing everything they can to stay on the job. They love their job. They want to be there. But there's this group of people that makes everybody's job miserable. And it's because of the antics and the tactics that they use while on the job. And if a person is not used to this type of behavior, it will make it very hard for this person to stay on the job. And so it comes to a point where some people, in order to just survive on the job, they come to the decision that if I can't beat them, I better join them. And the reason why they join them is so that the narcissistic gang stalkers won't get a whiff of them and start using some of the tactics against them and making their job miserable. And sadly, a lot of people, they join in with this type of behavior in order to spare themselves. And they can know what's going on. They can see it as clear as day. They may even have experienced it, but they won't say anything because they don't want to put their own job in jeopardy. They don't want to put their own sanity at risk. And sadly, do you blame them? Do you blame them? And what I found also is that, as they say, the atmosphere of a job or the culture of a job, it trickles from the top down. And lo and behold, if you have a boss, a manager, a CEO, or an executive director who is also a narcissistic gang stalker, then this will permeate from the top down. It will infiltrate every area of the job, from the highest paid person to the lowest paid person. And a lot of times when these people, narcissistic gang stalkers, are in high ranking positions on the job, it's very hard to get rid of them. it's very hard to prove anything against them because they know exactly how to operate and perform these narcissistic gang stalking tactics beneath the radar. They know how to fly beneath the radar. And so it's like you either get with the program or you get out. Okay? That's basically the choice that most people are left with. And those who try to hang in there on this type of job, who try to do, 25, 30 years into retirement, when they retire, they are exhausted. They are mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted from having to deal with the behaviors of narcissistic gang stalkers day in and day out. 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, 365 days out of the year, except for, give or take a 2 weeks vacation. And that's just really, it's unbelievable. But this is what's happening on the workforce in a lot of places. Not all places are like this, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people are dealing with these types of behaviors in the workplace. And it takes a toll on them physically, mentally. It takes a toll, like I said, on their productivity, on the morale of the job. And it can also, how they say that, when you're at work, you wear your work hat. And when you get home, you take off your work hat and you wear your mom or dad or whatever hat you wear at home, that you're supposed to separate who you are at the job as opposed to who you are at home. Well, when you're dealing with narcissistic gang stalkers, when you get home, it is very hard to take off that hat because a lot of things that are going on at the job, you take it home with you. You don't intend to, but you take it home with you. And so it can impact your home life as well. And so I didn't want this video to be too long. I'm going to end it right here. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. On the next video, we're going to continue this discussion, but on the next video, I'll be giving you some examples of what it's like when you're working with or you have coworkers that are narcissistic gang stalkers.